Now, after the aggressive actions of Ishtar on Thorbardin, the leaders of Ishtar continued with their plans to antagonize the gods, which brought about the fury of the cataclysm. This changed Dwarven society, as the dwarves of Thorbardin lived close to where the mountain was thrown by the gods onto Ansalon, and most of them died with the land fractured. Those who survived were isolated from each other. They would degenerate in time to become the clan of dark dwarves known as the Ka. Thorbardin and Kaolin though were for the most part untouched, but the north gate of Thorbardin was unusable due to a landslide, and the new sea created by the cataclysm now separated Thorbardin and Kaolin. This was not the end of troubles though, for the fortress of Pax Trakas, that was manned till then by elves and dwarves, was abandoned by the elves for the forest to isolate themselves, citing that they saw the other races as the reason the gods left. The dwarves though remained to hold the fortress. As time went on, with trade almost grinding to a halt, disease and famine started in the mountain city. The hill dwarves, or Neda, were also in dire straits due to ogre, human and goblin attacks. Unable to hold, they traveled back to Thorbardin and expected as part of the Dwarven nation to be allowed back in. High King Duncan though then made the hard decision to close the gates and bar the Neda from returning to prevent death by starvation due to a lack of food and fresh water. This though did not sit well with the Neda, who saw it as a betrayal, and led by Rhaegar Fireforge, ancestor of Flint Fireforge mind you, joined with the human dark wizard Vistandulus, who was actually the time-traveling Ratslin Magier. They attempted to invade Thorbardin and started the Dwarf Gate Wars. They were defeated by the Mountain Dwarves, and its results would be the decimation of both armies. The war also saw the loss of the Hammer of Karas, the same hammer that is said to have been used by Rerox when he forged the world. King Duncan then ordered the gates closed to prevent more loss of life, and then the dwarves isolated themselves from the world. 100 or so years later, the Zakar dwarves reappeared on the surface to set about to rebuild Thorbardin, setting up trade networks with Sanction and Bloaton. Their close ties with Sanction only grew when the Zakar allied themselves with Darkisius, the Dark Queen. During the War of the Lance though, Thorbardin and Kaolin renewed their alliance with Solamnia. By the end of the war, politically, Thorbardin was once again under one High King, and again, the Mountain Kingdom came out relatively unscathed for the most part. What followed was a period of prosperity until the Summer of Chaos, as not even a mountain could prevent an attack from within. Baker Whitegranite saved the day, but the Mountain Kingdom was largely damaged. On top of rebuilding Thorbardin, Severus Stonehand led a group of Dewa to Thorbardin and cured the mold disease that was affecting the Zakar. He then offered an ultimatum to the Zakar to join him or die. Some did, others fled, some died. Period uneasy peace followed for the dwarves, and then the Chaos War happened, which was then followed by the War of Souls, when Thorbardin was wretched by rebellions. One of these was led by Jungor Stonesinger, who was defeated by Tan Bellogranite when he found the Hammer of Karas. But then Jungor kidnapped his son and forced Tan to exchange the hammer and a promise of self-exile from Thorbardin. From here again, like their creation, the dwarves of Thorbardin split. 300 followed the rightful heir, Tan, to Pax Trakas to set up a new kingdom, and the others, under Jungor, stayed in Thorbardin. So that is the history of the dwarves of Krynn. In the future, we will look at the different clans of dwarves. I hope you enjoyed. Until next word.